This is the Dutch tool chest I just finished building. I have 4 reasons why I built this chest, but why don't we start with how I built the chest? So let's dive right in. Now for the chest itself, I'm using pine shelving boards. But why don't we start off with speeding through the build of the actual box that is the chest, and we'll get back to the internals and the reasoning in just a bit.
Cracks in the sidewalk, growing in silence, wearing your yellow crown. Hey, little dandelion, they kicked you for no reason, gather up your pieces, still you hold your ground. Hey, little dandelion, born to burn and quiet. Cracks in the sidewalk, growing in silence, wearing your yellow crown. Hey, little dandelion, they kicked you for no reason, gather up your pieces, still you hold your ground. Hey, little dandelion, born to burn and quiet.
We'll slide in from the top into those slots. That one was a bit wide. There we go. So this is the offcut from the front. I'm going to use this one for this part. I'm still going to keep an angle on it, so the full front slots into it.
Don't you take that fruit he's holding in his hand. Just one bite and you'll be swinging with the band. If you hang around that old Viper man, you'll be high.
here and we can access all sides. I also put a layer of shellac on all the knot holes. Now the paint we're using is linseed oil paint. The color is Ardbeg Green. The first coat is going to be heavily diluted. There we go, equal parts raw linseed oil and that. And then we're adding some turpentine. But yeah, I probably have twice as much paint as I need. And I'm gonna put this on very thin to start with. For the first, this is gonna need 3 coats, and it's gonna need like three days between each coat. One of the drawbacks of linseed oil, but other than that, I think it's a really nice paint. Anyways, I'm gonna get paint all over myself, so I'm gonna stop the recording now. Now, that last shot was in September, and now it's January. I did finish this chest just before Christmas, and we'll get to the last finishing touches in just a bit, but as you can see, I'm not in that other wood shop. This right here is my winter wood shop, you could say, because the other shop is in an uninsulated barn. It's currently minus 16 degrees outside, and it's also minus 16 degrees inside of the barn. That brings me to the first reason for building this chest, and that is mobility. I have 2 wood shops because there are some parts of woodworking that doesn't work when it's too cold. My fingers don't work. Wood glue doesn't really work. The point is, I need mobility. I have 2 wood shops. Having a tool chest I can carry, or having a friend help me carry, is very useful to be able to bring my tools in for the winter and be able to continue my woodworking in here. Just place the lid on top now. The barrel of the hinge is extending up a tiny bit. So apparently I forgot to hit record, but these are screwed on now. This thing, I've had it on this rolly thing, but this is really too narrow a footprint, so it doesn't really sit very well. Good opportunity to use up a bunch of random screws I have running around. Feels a lot better to move it around. It's a bit loud. I was hoping the wheels are going to be a bit softer, but I guess what you get what you pay for. And that brings me to the next point. With those wheels I just put on, this is a very mobile one, and it's kind of an extension of the previous reason for building this, more mobility. It's not so much a factor in here, but out in the barn, being able to roll this around to where I'm actually working I think is going to be a good thing. So it's not really a separate reason for building this chest, but it's kind of an extension of the previous reason. I think being able to move the chest to where I'm working, sometimes I have a project set up on the table saw, or I have a temporary table set up, and being able to put this tool chest next to me is going to allow me to not forget to put the tools back. It's so easy to just leave them on there because it's so annoying to walk the 5 meters to the tool chest, and now it's only half a meter or whatever. But hopefully that should make it less of an annoyance to put the tools back in the chest. You also saw me put an extra block on the inside, on the other side of the handle, and this is to bring some extra reinforcement. I'm not sure about the strength and the actual total weight of this when it's going to be loaded, so I figured better to be safe than sorry. The last thing you want when you're carrying the chest is to have the screws holding the handle give out and just rip out of the chest while you're carrying it, and have all your tools spill out in the mud. Because obviously, whenever they break, it's going to be in the most inconvenient time possible. So hopefully you can avoid that. Oh, well, this doesn't work. If I flip this one around. Just barely. Yeah. Got one break out there, but this is the first iteration. Now the next reason for building this chest should be the most obvious, I think, and that is organization. When tools have dedicated spaces, it makes it a lot easier to stay organized. You just saw me build the chisel rack and the hammer rack and a place to put the saws. Some of them anyway. Unfortunately, this Ryoba is too long, so it doesn't fit. Might figure out something to hang it on the side in the future, or maybe just an excuse to build a new tool chest in the future. I like the idea of every tool having their own place. However, I'm not going to have dedicated tool holders for everything. I'm still pretty new to hand tool woodworking, so I don't really know yet which tools are going to be the most used ones. I don't know what type of woodworking I'm going to end up doing for the most part. I just figured I'd get the essentials someplace to live. I'm also not going to do any kind of French fitting for the planes or stuff like that. Also, off camera, I ended up redoing the chisel rack because I didn't really like how it ended up with all of the tear out when I chopped the pieces, so I did a more careful job redoing it. Anyways, there are a few more tool holders to build, so let's get on with that. Now, the final reason for me to build this is just simply rust. While I like the idea of a tool wall, I quickly fallen out of love with this. In a space like this barn, which is not insulated or climate controlled in any way, it's pretty much a recipe for disaster. Almost every tool I own that could rust, did rust. And that's a huge reason why I'm building a tool chest. One thing that a lot of woodworkers don't realize is that sawdust, especially the really fine stuff, is a silent killer for steel and cast iron. It's hygroscopic, which means it absorbs moisture from the air, and it traps that moisture against your tool, causing it to rust. To add fuel to the fire, that wood naturally contains small amounts of salt, and when that salt mixes with the moisture, you've essentially created a saltwater bath for your tools. Of course, I can't fit my bandsaw in my tool chest, so for the stationary machines, it is important to brush off any sawdust when you're done for the day. And if I'm not going to be using the tools for a while, especially during the more humid months, I spray the surface with some WD-40 or another rust inhibitor. Getting the sawdust off and then the protective film from this stops the tool from rusting. Taking a minute to do this can save me hours of work later if it starts to rust. By building this tool chest, I'm solving the problems of mobility, organization, and rust prevention all at once. By keeping my tools inside of a closed chest, I am not only organizing them, but I'm also shielding them from that falling dust. Now, that's not so much of a problem in this basement workshop, but out in the barn, it definitely is. This is a Dutch tool chest, and I think this has been rediscovered in a bit thanks to the guys over at Lost Art Press. So if you want to know more about the reasoning for this type of chest, I highly recommend you check out their videos. Anyways, so we got the saws at the top going into the chest. We got the chisels, we got some mallets and hammers. So I got some marking tools over there. The block plane has a place to rest over there. The planes are sitting on the bottom. I've got a brush to clean up some stuff. There's a fall front that's called here. I'll open that in a bit. And at the very bottom we have a mobile base with some extra tool trays in there with some tools in them. To open the forefront, for traditional designs I think most commonly there's a stick or something in the middle, but I've seen a number of people use their winding sticks as the thing that holds the forefront off. So you pull those out and then you can lift this out. And the winding sticks basically sit in some slots you put there and through a hole there and slot over there. And then below here we've got some more tool space. Now in the future I'll probably put some kind of a pull-out drawer here with enough clearance for these. And I don't know if I'm going to do some kind of organization here. Some of these tools I'd like to have spots at the top, but we'll have to see how this evolves over time. This is a workshop project that isn't really finished until you start building its replacement, I suppose. So I think that's about it for this video. If you have any questions about this, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll respond to everything I can. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. There's a lot more stuff I'm going to do with this in the future, but I think it's good enough to use for now, and we'll see what modifications or additions I do to it as time goes on. I'll see you guys in the next one.